Thank you, Ceann Comhairle. I have a few introductory comments and 3 specific questions which I'll ask together. So at the outset, could I say that it does have to be said that new customs and regulatory checks have caused a few problems so far. There are some empty shelves in some supermarkets like Marks and Spencer's, which is supplied by British supermarket chains, and there is a possibility that some of these supermarket chains will simply not bother bringing in their goods to Ireland. Difficulties have been reported with online shopping, where new charges have been imposed on sites and sales, and some parcel services have ceased, and of course there are problems in our ports as well. Like other speakers, I too would like to thank the EU Chief Negotiator, Michel Barnier, for the important role he played in the negotiations. He's a very patient man, Ceann Comhairle. He told this House in 2017 that he would not abandon Irish interests and that he would respect the Good Friday Agreement in all its dimensions, and he kept his word in that regard. The European Movement Ireland, as we know, today honoured him with the European of the Year 2020 award. He said, Michel Barnier, that he considers himself a little bit Irish. I think it's fair to say that we all consider Michel Barnier an honorary Irishman at this stage. So question 1, I'd like to ask the Minister how the operation of the Northern Ireland Protocol is going on the ground. To your knowledge, Minister, are goods flowing without any problems between Britain and Northern Ireland? Are there teething problems? I say this because I'm conscious that the British Prime Minister, Boris Johnson, has told the House of Commons that he is willing to invoke Article 16 of the Protocol, which allows unilateral action if there are problems in economic, societal or environmental difficulties arising from its implementation. DUP MPs have said that the protocol has ruined trade in Northern Ireland, but I guess they would say that for their own political reasons. Is there any danger that Article 16 will be invoked? Is this something that the Irish government would oppose at EU level? Question 2, as regards the British land bridge, the government has been advising exporters to switch to direct ferry services to the continent rather than going through Britain. Stena and Irish Ferries are providing services from Dublin and Rosslare to Cherbourg. In addition, DFDS is providing direct daily services between Rosslare, Europort and Dunkirk. The Irish Marine Development Office said previously that there was enough capacity on these routes, yet services have since been increased on a commercial basis. I know you dealt with this earlier, but just to clarify again, is there sufficient capacity in respect of direct services from Ireland to the European mainland? Question 3 relates to the bilateral relationship between the United Kingdom and Ireland. With the UK leaving the EU structure for engagement between ministers and their officials is no longer available. Our bilateral relationship needs to be re-examined. There are strong social, economic, cultural and political links between our two countries. I understand that the British Prime Minister and the Taoiseach have agreed to begin work on a strategic review of the Irish-British relationship. The Taoiseach has spoken of the need to develop new structures for formal engagement between the Taoiseach and the British Prime Minister and at ministerial and official level to formalise cooperation across several policy areas. I believe also that we need to develop and enhance the various bodies established under the Good Friday Agreement in order to develop and enhance relations on all parts of these islands. Presumably, Minister, you agree with that. And just some concluding remarks. I'd like to say that it is becoming clear that we are all not quite done with Brexit as yet. The Partnership Council established to oversee the agreement will have 20 committees, no less. There are definitely more painful negotiations ahead, but this agreement will make Brexit a little easier for all of us to deal with.
Thank you, Deputy Haughey. Minister.
Yeah, let me try and deal with some of those questions as quickly as I can. First of all, the question of the protocol on Ireland and Northern Ireland. I mean, look, clearly there are some issues that are frustrating trade. Some of it linked to a lack of preparation beforehand, and some of it linked to simply adjusting to new realities, which is bureaucratic, involves a lot of paperwork, it involves notice and engagement with port authorities and revenue commissioners, and that new adjustment is something that we've seen a political kickback against, particularly in Northern Ireland, from some political parties. But I think that if you look at the amount of trade coming into Northern Ireland ports, it's more or less the same as it was this time last year, about 6% down. Ironically, actually, trade from the UK coming into Dublin and Rosslare is significantly down. That's because, well, for a number of reasons, but partly because we've seen a lot of hauliers choosing direct ferry routes to France as an alternative, which we've seen a 300% increase on. So trade is happening. Yes, there is some problems and disruption, and we will try to overcome those. I think, though, the threshold to invoke Article 16 is very, very high, and I don't believe it's realistic that Article 16 would be used, unless there was something extraordinary happened that certainly isn't happening today. And again, I think the politics around the commentary on Article 16 hasn't always been based in reality in terms of what Article 16 actually proposes to do and who can invoke it. The second issue, just in relation to the land bridge, yeah, so my understanding is that the reports that have been done on this have said that the ferry sector has the capacity to respond in terms of providing significant increased capacity for direct ferry routes that avoids the land bridge. And we're seeing that. DFDS, Stena, Irish Ferries, Brittany Ferries, a number of companies in relation to Lolo Freight as well. We've seen a dramatic increase in a very short space of time, and continuing in terms of more to come. So it's not perfect. At the start of the year, certainly there were pressures where hauliers weren't able to get onto ferries when they wanted to. But I think because of that pressure, we've seen the ferry companies respond in a remarkably quick time period to that increased demand. And we've seen, in some cases, larger ships that were on Irish sea routes between Dublin and Holyhead now switching to direct ferry routes,
you, Minister.
Primarily to France. Finally, on the strategic review between Ireland and the UK, that is happening. Yes, it's being led by the Taoiseach. My department's obviously involved as well, and that'll be a big focus for the next 12 months.
Thank you very